Okay, hello. Welcome to. Oh, here we are on All About English live, and nobody's home yet. So let's see. Let's get ourselves set up here and see what we can do here. Okay, show your support, show your appreciation. We are going to present a show. We have got a show for you today. Yes, we do. Okay. So first up, we're going to share the screen and the topic for today. Okay. So we've got one person. I'm seeing one person. Let me know who you are. Send a comment down below and we can get started. It's like a free class every Saturday. All right. So as you can see, the topic for today is I understand English, but I can't. Why can't I speak it? I don't know. It's such a frustrating thing to do. I don't know why I can't speak English. That's okay. We're going to give you some tips for today on how you can improve your English speaking and hopefully get you going on on that. So, all right. Just want to take a real quick look. Let me know who you are, where you're from, and we can get started. Say hello. Say hello, Dennis. Hello. I'm just gonna get a couple more things lined up here. Hmm? All right. Okay. So, okay. Okay. I think we are ready. I think we are ready. Oh, it's Mandy. Hi, Mandy. Okay. Well, Mandy, it looks like it's just you and me for right now. Let's see if anybody else joins in the fun. But uh, I'm going to start sharing my screen here in just a minute. And then I won't be able to see your comments until I'm done. So here we go. Let's see. So I understand English, but why can't I speak it? All right. Hi there. It is time for another episode of All About English Live. I am your host, the one and only Dennis Wilborn, and I am excited to be here today to share and talk about a common challenge that I know many people face when they are learning English. Have you ever found yourself nodding along, when someone's speaking to you in English, but then you're struggling to respond when it's your turn to speak? Or maybe you freeze up when it's your time, when you're in a group and you never say anything. Maybe you're in a meeting and everyone's going around the room and asking questions and you just don't know what to say, but you understand everything. I understand that struggle. Okay. You are not alone. So, today we're going to explore why this happens and how you can overcome this hurdle and become a confident English speaker. And of course, I want you to stick around until the end for a bonus tip that will help you take your English skills to the next level. So, let's get started. I understand English. So, language learning is more than just understanding the language. Whenever you're speaking a language, it's important to remember that the language that you're speaking is meant for communication. Okay. The whole point is to communicate and connect with people. So if you're only getting one half, like the understanding part, but you're not able to communicate your ideas and your thoughts, that is really difficult. So we're going to talk about some speaking practice, why that's important, and of course, go over the probably the biggest thing that everyone struggles with, and that's the fear of making mistakes, because it really can hold you back from speaking clearly and fully. Okay. Do you like my new slideshow? I love this new slideshow. Uh-oh, what happened to the? Oh, what happened? I lost my background. Eh, I gotta double check those slides. So reason number one that people can't reply when they're speaking English is because, well, They don't practice enough. You're not practicing enough. And let's get real for just a minute. If you find it tough speaking English, even though you're a rock star at understanding it, you might need to start hitting the practice court more often. Look, it's like playing basketball or baseball or badminton or any kind of sport. You can't just watch the game and expect to be a pro. You need to get out there and practice. Practice, shooting hoops or hitting balls or hitting the little birdie thing if you're playing badminton, if you expect to build your skills, right? It's the same thing with English. You need to use your mouth muscles. I talked about this in one of my Thai talks last week. Use your mouth muscles, build your muscle memory, and get those muscles in shape. So make sure that you balance your focus between understanding and speaking. Don't just sit back and listen or try to understand everything. You need to jump into conversations, practice with your friends, take every opportunity that you can to speak English. The more practice you get, the more confident you'll become. And soon enough, you will be speaking like a pro. I promise, just like a pro. Here we go. The number two reason that people can't speak is because they're afraid. The dreaded mistake. They're afraid of making mistakes. So, I know you worry about getting it wrong. You don't want to use the wrong grammar or something like that. But let me tell you something. Even native speakers make mistakes. Nobody is perfect. So let that just calm your fears right out there. Even native speakers don't always get it right. Okay. And another thing to remember is making mistakes is actually a good thing. That's right. I said it. Making mistakes means you are pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and trying new things. And that's how you learn and improve. So while it is important to strive and try to be accurate, don't get too caught up in avoiding mistakes. Embrace them as part of the learning process and focus on speaking fluently and confidently. I'm reminded of when I was learning how to sell. Someone told me I was a really bad salesman, and I'm still not the best. But something somebody told me was the problem is not the amount of times you're trying to succeed at selling something. The problem is you're not failing enough. So making mistakes will actually help you to improve that much faster. Okay. It is part of the process. Think of it like if you have children, like I have children, I don't correct every mistake that they make because they make mistakes all the time, but that's okay. It's part of life. You make a mistake and then you model the correction and then you learn and time after time, but it's never going to fix itself if you don't actually make those mistakes. Okay. So raise your hand if you've ever felt nervous or self-conscious about speaking in any situation. Okay. Look, it doesn't matter. We've all felt self-conscious or nervous in different situations. And the truth is, fear and the lack of confidence can really seriously hold you back when it comes to speaking English. It's like having a mental block, right? It's like, if you're spending too much time thinking about making mistakes or thinking about how scared you are, you're not going to be able to think straight, right? So first of all, recognize that fear and the lack of confidence can automatically negatively impact your ability to speak. When you are too worried about making mistakes or being judged, it can cause you to stumble over your words or even forget what you wanted to say. It's like your brain is so focused on the fear that it forgets the English. So I know people who are excellent English speakers and they just can't do it. Native speakers get up on a stage and try to give a speech, and they can't speak because they're too focused on the fear. So don't let the fear get in the way. There are ways to build your confidence and overcome your fear. One tip, you might want to write this down, is to visualize your success. Okay. Picture yourself speaking English confidently and fluently in different situations, like at work or in social settings. This can help you to build the confidence and feel more prepared when the actual situation arises. So I like to do this when I am preparing for a presentation or a speech. I imagine myself giving the speech, I imagine the audience understanding. And it's something that runners do and professional athletes do. They visualize the game or the race or the whatever it may be, the competition. They visualize themselves running and winning, or competing and winning, and then they just go out and let it happen, and they do it. So remember, taking risks and making mistakes is part of the learning process. So don't be too hard on yourself. If you stumble over your words or you don't know a certain phrase, just keep practicing and pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. The more you speak, the more confident you'll become, and you know that's just the end of it. So just take a deep breath. I that reminds me, uh, when I have a very nervous student or client the first time we meet, and I can tell that they're just really nervous and they're afraid of speaking, the first thing I say is take a deep breath in, out, and just let the stress go out, because the fear is not going to help you. It never does. All right. Okay. Number 4, the reason why, and this is, we're going to get back into that perfection thing, but let's talk about vocabulary and grammar. Okay. Vocabulary and grammar are the absolute bread and butter of English. If you have a limited knowledge of these two things, it can definitely hold you back from speaking fluently. Now, the good news is you don't have to have a massive vocabulary to have a conversation. You can actually survive and get a conversation with only, or have a conversation and only have a vocabulary of 1,000 words. It doesn't take much. Most native speakers only have a vocabulary of about 5 to 10,000 words. I know, amazing, right? Especially when you consider that the English language has over 500,000 words. That's 500,000. So, yeah, I mean, I personally, I learn new words all the time, at least once or twice a week. And don't let vocabulary scare you, but you should have a basic understanding. So, if you don't have the right words to express your ideas, or if you don't have the right grammar to put them together, you're going to have a real tough time communicating effectively. But there are plenty of ways that we can improve your vocabulary and grammar skills. And one tip that I give all the time is to read as much as possible, whether it's books or articles or even social media posts. Reading can expose you to new vocabulary and sentence structures. And the best part is you can do it from anywhere, and you don't have to study a textbook. Ah! Who loves textbooks? Not this guy. All right. Another tip that you can try is practice speaking in English as much as possible. Okay. This is, again, it's going to help you build your confidence. Remember, point 3 that I made was it builds confidence. So that's not going to happen unless you step out of your comfort zone and really try and try. It also gives you the opportunity to practice using new vocabulary and grammar structures in a natural setting or a natural way. So make sure that you focus on building your vocabulary and improving your grammar skills. Okay. It's not the most glamorous part of learning English, but it is certainly one of the most important. And with some dedication and practice, you can be speaking English like a pro, like a native, in no time. Really, if you avoid the grammar books, you can read them if you want to, but spend that time reading and practicing speaking, and you're going to do really, really well. All right. And now it's time for the bonus tip. Bonus tip. Oh, and you can't see it. I got to do something about these slides. So here is some of my best tips for improving your speaking. All right. Some of my best tips for improving your speaking. Oh, how did I get, what happened? What happened there? All right. Maybe that's not what I want. That's what I wanted because you can't read the slide anyway. Might as well look at me. Okay, so some of the best tips. Let's talk about reading again and practicing speaking. I know I just mentioned it in tip number 4, but reading is really the best way that you're going to find to expand your vocabulary and improve your grammar. Why is that? It's because most of the things that you read are written in proper grammar. It's not like a podcast or something where you're listening to native speakers. You might hear a lot of English that is poorly spoken. It happens all the time. So if you really want to build that vocabulary and grammar up, reading is one of the best ways. Now, it's going to expose you to new words and new phrases and it helps you understand the words and phrases when they're used in context. If you're reading a book like of vocabulary words, you're really not, it's not helpful because you're just putting more words in. It's like uh, if they don't have a context, a meaning, if they don't have a setting, it's just like completely useless for helping you. You'll just end up with a head full of vocabulary words, but you never know how to use them. Okay. So make sure you try to read as much as possible books, news articles, or social media. I often recommend news articles or blogs because they're usually shorter than books. Books are great, but blogs are short. You can really take them and get a whole idea in one short setting. I also recommend that you read at least twice in one setting. And the other thing that's going to help you with your speaking practice as well, when you read, speak out loud. Okay. Speaking out loud is again helping you to train those muscles in your mouth and really get the muscle memory building. So now, when it comes to speaking, practice really does make perfect. One of the best ways to improve your speaking skills is to try practicing to speaking every single day. Now, you can do this with a native speaker. If you don't live in a place where there are many native speakers, you can find a coach online. I have a coaching program that I do at Amazing Talker. You can find the link in the description, and that is very useful. You can do a language exchange partner on, search on Facebook or Instagram, maybe Instagram. I'm not sure if they do. LinkedIn, some places like social media, you might be able to find some language exchanges in your area. Or you can do like my wife did, practice talking to yourself in the mirror. That's another very useful and very successful. My wife speaks great English because she practiced a lot when she was a kid. She never had a teacher teach her how. I wish I could get her to come on the show sometime, but she's not going to do it yet. She's always a little bit bashful. So um, another thing is another thing that I do is talk to yourself. Or I talk to myself. You can talk to yourself. I know it feels a little weird, but you get one of these little earbuds, go out walking, and start describing the world around you. Describe, oh, that's a tree, that's a bus, that's this. Or you could go a little bit more complicated as your grammar and vocabulary improve. You could start describing your actions. I'm walking down this road. It's a beautiful spring day. And or you can do it like when you're driving. Do try to remember to focus on the actual road because that's kind of important. And it's kind of important to do that. All right. And that is basically what my bonus tip is. Make sure you read every day, read out loud, practice speaking, either with a partner or in a in a group, or even just talking to yourself. Do that every day, and your vocabulary and grammar and your overall speaking ability will start to improve. Okay. Remember, learning a language should be a lot of fun and it should be enjoyable. So don't be afraid of making mistakes. Take some risks. Read and have conversations about things that are interesting to you. That's the other reason nobody likes textbooks and no one wants to study, because you're reading boring stuff. Find the stuff that you think is interesting and read it. It's a lot of fun. And trust me, the more you do it, the better you'll get. Okay. So keep practicing. You'll be speaking like a native in no time. And yeah, that's all I got to say about that. All right. And that is a wrap for today's episode. Let's see if you can start putting some theory into practice. Okay. Remember, to improve your speaking, you've got to make sure you're practicing either with native speakers. You can record yourself. You can listen with, if you record yourself, you'll be listening to your pronunciation. And really, the biggest lesson I want you to take home today is don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. That's really what it boils down to. That fear is one of the biggest hurdles. And as soon as you get over that, you'll be much happier. All right. So again, that is all that I have for today's episode. Thank you very much for joining me on All About English Live. Thanks for tuning in. And I really appreciate the comments. Leave your comments down below. Come check out my one-on-one class if you're looking for a coach or a tutor, and make sure you join us here every Saturday night for more fun and more informative English lessons. I am going to try to take your advice. If you have any requests, leave the request down in the comments. I would love to see, oh yeah, tell me, let's talk about this or let's talk about that. I have some ideas for next Saturday, but if you have a good thought, let me know. Okay. All right. And before you go, make sure you like this show, subscribe, and leave comments. Let me know what you thought of today's episode. Let me know if you have any questions. And right now, because I love questions, I am going to start taking questions in the chat right now on the live show. Remember that practice makes perfect. So keep practicing. Stay positive. I can't believe I just said that. Wow. Practice makes perfect. No, that's such a cliche. Practice does not make perfect. Practice makes improvement. And my father used to say, perfect practice makes perfect, meaning that if you are practicing the wrong things, you're not going to be perfect. You're just going to get good at doing it the wrong way. So keep practicing, keep improving, stay positive, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Look, I believe in you. With a little dedication, a little hard work, you'll be speaking English fluently in no time. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time on All About English Live. And right now, it's time to get into the chats. Mandy, looks like you're the only one here. Let's see. I have a good question. This is a good question. And Mandy says, if I practice with a friend whose level is similar to me, is the practice efficient? We may not know if there's any sentence that needs to be corrected. Oh, yeah. If you're practicing with a friend and you're speaking English together, of course it's efficient. You may make mistakes. You may make incorrect comments. And guess what? It happens. And it's okay, because the point of language, like I've said before, is to communicate and create connections. Okay. It's really about communicating and creating connections. When you're speaking with someone who has about the same level as you, and you may say something that is wrong, but you don't know it, it's okay. You know how I know? Because I hear incorrect things from people in all across Asia. I hear it all the time. And one of the things that I always hear that is totally incorrect, but almost every person in Korea and Taiwan and Hong Kong and Japan, they almost all say, now I can't remember, take a rest. That's what it is. They almost all say, well, go home and take a rest, or go take a rest, or I'm going to take a rest, when it's like a vacation time. That is not the correct expression for what you're trying to say. We never say in English, native speakers never say take a rest. We always say get some rest or take a break, because rest is something that is, it's a noun that is not countable. Okay. So you can't get a rest. You can only get some rest. So, and a break, however, is countable. And a break means that, like, you have a set schedule of time and you break that time and then you go back to it on the other side. That's a break. So take a break is totally okay. Get some rest is the proper expression. But so many people have said that phrase to each other when they're speaking English that everybody says it. So, and nobody knows that it needs to be corrected. And most native speakers will not correct you on that. Can you believe that? Why is it that most native speakers don't correct people when they're trying to speak when they're trying to speak English, or when they make mistakes? Um, Honestly, that is a question that gets asked occasionally. Why don't people who are native speakers correct my grammar when I say something incorrectly? Sometimes you'll meet someone like me, and yeah, we're happy to correct your grammar and say, well, give a suggestion on how you can say it better. But most people don't want to be offensive. And that's why they really are very conscious. Most people are conscious of your uh, fear or your inability. And so they say, okay, well, I just won't push the issue. I'm not going to try to help you, but I'm also not going to point out the problem because I don't want you to be offended. So don't. That's part of the reason why those types of problems just kind of keep continuing. So Mandy, or excuse me, is here. Does anyone have any more questions before I wrap this up? Because we've already been going for almost 30 minutes, and I think that's about it. I'll give you a couple of seconds here. If you feel the desire, I love coffee. You can support this show and you can support me, maybe help me buy a new computer if you buy me a cup of coffee. And the link is in the description, or you can just go to buymeacoffee.com/ all about ing, because who needs lish, right? They just chopped off the lish part. Okay, well, I don't see any more questions coming through the line, so I thank you very much. I hope you join me again next Saturday night. And until then, keep practicing every single day. And uh, oh, there's a question before I jump out. Hi, excuse me. Says, why is South Korean all about phonics? I think what you're saying, why are South Korean um, schools and teachers always talking about phonics? And that is a really a tough question to answer, because phonics as a way to learn how to read is really good. Korea and Korean English schools tend to focus mostly on reading and listening, because that's part of the exam that people need to get, that need to pass before they can get a job and things like that. So I think that's the reason why they're very concerned with phonics, because phonics is all about helping you to read or speak the words from the sound of the letters. My problem with phonics is that, unlike Korean is a great alphabet, by the way. Hangul is a wonderful alphabet. It's so logical. Every single letter or character has a sound assigned to it. And when I learned how to read Hangul, I actually, even to this day, I didn't learn the name of the letter like we teach in English, A, B, C, D, E. I learned the sounds of each character so that I could make those sounds when I was reading in Korean. And I could therefore pronounce Korean better than if I was trying to read it in the westernized or Englishized version. So because Hangul is very phonetical, it's given by every part of a uh, sound. Every character has a sound. I think maybe Koreans believe that if you study the sounds that the letters make in English, it'll be the same thing. Unfortunately, it's not. If you look at a letter A, if you look at the letter A in English, it's A, and A, and sometimes ah. So that's four different pronunciations for one letter. And then you've got C has multiple pronunciations. You've got S and K. You've got other letters with, there's so many different pronunciations for letters. Using phonics as a way to learn English is one of the least effective ways, in my opinion. It's a great way to learn how to read and how to speak out loud what you're reading, so you'll be able to pronounce the words. But for learning English, not the best. The best way to learn English is just getting out there. Once you've got the basics of how to read, you've got some basic fundamental um, phrases like hello, how are you? Where's the bathroom? Those are important. Once you get through that, you'll be much better off with just reading as much as you can. If you're still a beginner, read simple books. Read stuff like I said last week. Read children's books to your kids in English. They're going to have a benefit of hearing English. You're going to have the benefit of building your vocabulary with the simple things and getting simple descriptions for stories and stuff. That will help you build your vocabulary. And then as you get better and better, then you can read articles, you can read all kinds of other things. So have fun. Just the most important thing. Just have fun and talk to yourself, talk to other people, talk as much as you can. And that's all that I have time for today. So, all right, I will see you next time on All About English Live. Thanks for joining.